Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. We invite you to come back now and to focus for a moment on where it was that you were journeying while you were listening to the sound of the magical bowls, the sound of energy moving through your being. So, we are the Pleiadians. We are here once again in a familiar location, in a familiar seat, with new ideas and new places to journey with you. This is Sedona of 2015. Things are happening on a very, very massive level, as you well understand. The title of the weekend is Surfing Wild Card Times, and wild card implies that anything can occur out of nowhere. You've been through an intense few weeks here on the energetic level, and things are not settled at all. Behind the scenes, there are people who don't know what to do with this running of energy, and so they have, let's say, crazy ideas to start wars or to fight and to destroy one another. The energy can make one impetuous, restless, and it is your job to, in your own being, stabilize it, balance it. Springtime is always an awakening and a quickening of energy. You see it outside yourself. The creatures move around. The land starts to come out of dormancy. This year, as you match the land and the energy, you are going to find your opening to new challenges. The inner world must come fully online, because so much is happening in the outer world that is completely beyond understanding of the average earthling. You are not the average people of Earth. You have committed to learn, to study, to consider ideas that are not exactly accepted in society. The entire world is being turned upside down just now. And in a few years, everything is going to be so different. And it is imperative and essential that more and more people come to understand the truth. You know, in times of great deceit, it is a rebellious act to speak the truth. And this is what you are being faced with today. People see truths, and if they talk about them, they are considered to be heretics or rebels. It is a very interesting way of acting out the rebellious energies of today. You can expand your mind into greater understanding rather than fighting shadows or getting engaged in problems that, let's say, someone wants to keep rather than solve them. You are challenged to lift some burdens off of your DNA, off of your lifetimes, and off of some of your memories. And we will do our very best job this weekend to remove some misconceptions and misunderstandings about who you think you are. Each person lives many lifetimes. Sometimes there can be long stretches of time between lifetimes. In the last 200 years, 300 years, or some such, people popped in and out much more quickly. There were more bodies available, more people were having sex, there were more people on the planet, there were systems to accommodate shelter and food and safety and work, and so more souls begin to incarnate. If you were to start studying the timelines of where you've been on the planet, those of you on the spiritual path, of course, you are weaving ancient history together into modern times. Your simultaneous or past lives are playing a very pivotal role just now, because those of you who are open-minded, you have other versions of yourselves positioned right now, in this now, in realities that appear to be future and past. They appear to be isolated and separate from your now. In this capacity, it's a way that you can explore reality, integrate it, move through the changing times. There's a lot of deceit and chaos going on. On the other hand, there is healing and integration. They go hand in hand. And it's going to be very natural for you to feel other versions of yourself advising you. Many people are being challenged to understand the process of a spiritual awakening. It can be slow, and then suddenly it can be like a volcano going off. This year is more volcanic. 2014 was a year of positioning, a year of making very big decisions, of terminations, letting things go. 2015, the energy has become volatile, difficult for the people of Earth to handle. And so you have governments, world leaders, rather than doing works of goodness, they are considering acts of destruction. Know this, friends, that you have friends in high places. That means up. And over the course of the last 50 years, 60 years, there has been a steadfast methodical program. Watchers, we use that term very loosely. We are not talking about watchers from the ancient literature or the Bible or any such. This is different. Those assigned to watch and to make certain that there's no stray nukes, that no one gets itchy fingers and starts pushing buttons unnecessarily. And insiders know that over the course of many decades, that just to show sometimes, nuclear missile silos were shut down. Balls of light would come cruising through, bright, sparkling, dancing balls, and move through submarines, move through missile silos. The balls have even dared to move around the Pentagon. Sometimes they race. What do you think this does to the people? They are so in charge. They think they are so smart. And then balls of light show up. You get it? It's good you have humor, because the balls of light have humor too. Now, the balls of light, what are they? They could be likened to your drones. And lots of different visitors and others have them. It's not so sophisticated. If you see a stilo, what is the word for stilo? Pen. If you see a pen for the first time, it seems remarkable that a stick could write. If you move it around, it has ink in it. And so the orbs, these balls of light, seem remarkable, but they are like a remote extension of intelligence. They've been around forever. Sometimes the balls of light select certain people, and they may cross their path. Sometimes these balls of light may appear as ball lightning, big balls. There's always an intelligence behind it. So even though things are quite volatile just now, there are those keeping the pressure down And let's say it looks as if you are going to, let's say, have some confounded leaders when they have to have some big explanations about what's stopping their actions. That's just something to consider. Now, most important is what is going on with each and every one of you. Yes, there's the global scene and cosmic scene and what's going down underneath the ground, and it's all wanting to be recognized and to come out. And you are in times, as our vehicle said, that have a connection and a bit of reciprocity with the mid and late 1960s. Today, the tensions are growing and growing to push you not to rebel so much against the system as to have a revolution in the mind of a new type of thinking, a new recognition of the factors that are influencing you. We have suggested that this year forces are clashing, and there may be some events that have a wow factor, a triple or quadruple wow factor. Forces behind the scenes are playing big heavy stakes for the ownership of the planet. And when the stakes are this high, let's say the passions also match those stakes, and clear thinking is not the course of the day. For each and every one of you, grounded every day, aura up every day, and make a plan or an intention for how you want the day to unfold. The more you condition your reality quite simply by just saying, this is what I want, the more you are demonstrating that you are willing to take charge of your lives. Many of you have been in this metaphysical field for decades, long time. You are still in kindergarten. And some of you that just came on, you are in preschool. But you will make rapid advancements this year, more than you have ever imagined, because there are leaks, and there are revelations, and there are things that cannot be kept quiet anymore. The entirety of your reality is coming alive. It's also most important to understand the vulnerability that you are under of deceit, of sophisticated deceit, convincing you that black is white, that up is down. Super clear, sophisticated arguments. And many people will become discombobulated, looking for validation, looking for someone or something to help them figure out all the confusion that's happening on earth. You're only going to find that inside, or with a few good friends. Remember that. And as things become more confusing, it's the breakdown. The energies that you are in are about a revolution of the mind, a definite, entire new expansion of how you will see the world and how you will function within it, and set a pathway for others to emulate. And then there's the confusion. More and more people losing it, not knowing what's true and what's not true anymore. This is going to be bigger and bigger issue. When you find yourself in confusion, get away from your devices and go for a walk in nature. Expose yourself to the sun. The sun is going to be one of your very best friends if you allow it to take that role. It boosts your vitamin D and amplifies your immune system, and also is constant communication through the sun. We know some of you are sun gazers. That can be beneficial if you do it properly. There are people who have burnt out their corneas looking at the sun, so be very careful. which the sun is always transmitting a type of information, the language of light. And you take it in one way or another, but when you are looking with your eyes, there's a bit of, let's say, an upgrade, a different kind of system that you will get on. But be very, 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 very careful when you are looking directly at a, let's say, bright celestial object. And speaking of bright celestial objects, the sun may not be the only bright celestial object this year in the sky. Understand that there are those who want to deceive you and trick you. We cannot emphasize this enough. This is why it's going to be a wow year. Some big things may blow, and then inside things may really open up. They counterbalance each other. The more dramatic the events of the global scene, the more dramatic the psychic opening inside those who can handle it. Sometimes people get a psychic opening completely when they don't want it. They're not an adult, perhaps. They may be children. It's not something that they even understand. If you find yourself helping someone out in that capacity, use your imagination. Call in your guides. Ground the person by your mind. And attempt to do your best to help them stabilize. On another subject, the stability of the biosphere is rapidly declining. This is not so good. From your oceans, Fukushima, from pollutions, from toxins, plastic, diapers, you name it. There's a expiration date, so to speak, on how long things can keep going in this capacity. This is why there is a very steady plan to reduce the populations. And you will notice that more and more people are getting sick younger and younger and departing the planet. It's not so much that humankind cannot evolve and master these toxins in these situations. It's that there are billions of people who just want to be here, but don't necessarily want to grow into higher consciousness. They want to be here for what's going to happen. What's going to happen could have a number of probable scenarios, which big changes will be the theme behind what is occurring. You have potential for economic collapse. The astrological configurations of Saturn, which always brings restriction and lessons and teachings. Saturn is moving into the very expansive sign of Sagittarius, and it is in a 90-degree or trouble-making aspect to Neptune, the nebulous, addictive, clueless, sometimes sign. When Neptune and Saturn are in relationship, there is usually an economic collapse. In 2008, Neptune and Saturn were opposing one another. This year, they will be in that 90-degree square. It looks highly probable that later in the year that you will have the mother, the beginning of the mother of a major global change in terms of currency. And the battles are already being waged now about the dollar and the Chinese yuan and the Russians they have many aces up their sleeves, so don't rule out the Russians. So you are in this potential economic shifting of powers away from the US and towards what they call the BRICS. Nothing is guaranteed. Then you have the potential, highly likely, that this is going to be a year of systemic breakdown due to hackings. And then on top of all this, you have the sun responding erratically. The sun, according to some observations, is entering a quiet period of quietude. That's yet to be debated. The sun can do anything any day at once. The weather changes that are moving to great extremes are also something to consider. And you will find that it will be difficult to settle in with the seasons this year. They will appear to start and then falter. There's energies in the cosmos that are affecting a larger cycle of weather on Earth that could be leading you eventually to climactic changes of a much colder nature. And there's also the ubiquitous, ever-present, ongoing weather wars between some of the alleged superpowers. And then you cannot rule out visitors or others that have all of their hardware, software, and stuff around Earth who push buttons and move things around, etc. So these are exciting times to be alive. These are thrilling times. These are unique to lifetimes. They are very challenging. Most of you will do just fine. And those of you, if we don't say all of you, it's because some of you are too resistant. You think you know it all and you don't. Let that settle in. You come to erroneous conclusions. And you need more study and more observation. It's the people that you know that you will have to watch that refuse to grow, that refuse to know, that you will help through very difficult situations. In some way, this is why you are raising your consciousness, why you are becoming informed, so that you can be of a greater assistance as an explainer or as a pillar of support to others who want to be here, don't want to grow, don't want to learn, or block out, or say this is how it is. Our vehicle told a few of you, don't force your foot into Cinderella's slipper. That's a quote from us. That means that your big old cloppy foot, you want to force it into something that it's this sleek and smooth, and if I get my foot in there, it's all going to work out. And this is the answer. It's not it at all. Give yourself freedom to not know, to become informed, but not to form so many conclusions. It's true, the conscious mind, 13 to 30 cycles per second, it wants to make conclusions. The subconscious and unconscious minds, which have much slower brainwave cycles, that's where the data is. It's inside of you. And you find that data by being quiet, by having meditation. And as our vehicle said to a few of you, you're not going to expand your consciousness by watching TV. You're going to expand it by taking time to go within and to read and to think about things. So, in summation, it's going to be a very challenging year. Many of you will pick up and make some drastic changes from what you are doing now. You will be compelled by forces that may have very big effect on your lives. We'd also like to add that, being that we are in the western regions of the USA, factor it in, dear friends, that sometime in the probable future, as conditions are continuing with severe drought, you may be entering a cycle, very, very, very long-term drought. And this would be the Pacific Rim area on this west coast and inland to some extent. This will create great, great, great disruptions. Just be aware. that you have that governor in California, Mr. Brown. He's already warning people. Inside, many are panicking. But remember, they are never going to panic out to the public. They give you, we're going to have water restrictions, we're going to have to raise the price, etc., etc. This is the beginning of what may start to be a mass migration from the West Coast, moving further east. Just be aware of that, dear friends. You're not going to live very far or very long without water. All right? To balance it, perhaps some of you will be able to call the nature spirits in and to restore balance on earth. If that is your calling, then get with it. All right. Let's move to questions. You are laughing a little bit, so that's good. You open yourselves up when you laugh. That's just why we enjoy it, because your chakras open and you get big doses of energy, and we are here to charge you up, so to speak, but to keep you on earth. So you were having discussion about the Anunnaki influence and how it appears that they are interwoven with so much of life. As we've said, it's on everywhere. We recently, last autumn, end of the year, we suggested a bit of an assignment that you, students, for homework, that you find 22 names or words that have Anu's name in it, either A-N or A-N-U. And our students, being that they are so eager to learn and they are all of almost A quality, they started their lists. And they, lo and behold, found that there were so many, they became amazed how easy it was. And then they became concerned. How could Anu be in everything? How could a visiting God, a long liver, whom you haven't seen on this planet in thousands and thousands of years, yet how could that presence be so running your lives? So Chet, when our vehicle told him, he came up bingo with January. J-A-N-U. There you have it. Our vehicle's winner was Luna. L-U-N-A. Anu sneaking it backwards. We want you to look for these names. We want you to see, do you have A-N in your name? How many times a day do you say N on? And another assignment we will give you is that to find a newspaper article, magazine, anything, few columns, and get yourself a yellow or pink magic marker, something that you can see through, and read the entire page of text or 2 pages and just highlight every time you see A-N or A-N-U, backward or forward. And then afterwards hold the page away and look to see how predominant it is. The point in this exercise is to get you to look for things that were always in front of you and to see them with new eyes. And then once you see things that you didn't see before, it starts the ball rolling and you start seeing other things. This is how the mind evolves and how it moves forward. So this is going to be a big Anunnaki year. A year when you are going to have some big confrontations about who these beings are and how they are ruling your world. So let's move into questions, and we'll open it up to any subject you want, as long as it benefits everyone. We are not going to personally give you advice. It's not a personal time for readings, but certainly if you are clever, you can trick us. And we trick you all the time, so there's no problem with it, and we let you know. It's the fun of the game. It's all in good fun. But you can trick us into getting a bit of personal information by acting as if you are totally altruistic and you want to know a question for all people. You fun? It's good, all in good show. So let's intend for a brilliant session, a brilliant weekend, that everyone leaves here confident, recharged, realigned with their purpose, always in the right place at the right time, abundantly satisfied with every aspect of life that you call to you. So who would like to start off with the first question? Loud and clear, please.
Please, Diane.
Who is it?
Diane.
Diane, welcome. And what is your question, please?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment about what you said about working with the nature spirits.
Working with the nature spirits, or a little louder, please.
Okay, I'm from New Mexico, and we have been in a drought situation. And we were in a terrible situation a few years ago. And during Indian Mart, you know, a lot of the Native Americans come together to show off their beautiful artwork and so forth. And they got together, and it was a very private ceremony, and they didn't tell anybody. And anyway, they did a private ceremony, and the following day it rained all day and the next day at Indian Mart. And it was packed with people. So there is truly something.
And this is Indian Mart in the summer.
Yes.
So they called the rains in the middle of the summer. And even though the people had to attend the Indian Mart in Santa Fe in the rain, it was a demonstration of their power, yes?
Yes.
It is an inspiration for all of you. Now listen. Thank you, Diane, for that story. The native peoples, they have it in their DNA to be a little closer to nature. Why? Because the native people slept on the ground and looked at the sky a little bit more than the industrialized people. You follow this? So it's in their DNA. And if they want to, they can sum it up. But it's also a program or an energy that they broadcast that you can learn to match in the sacred way. And it is possible of always for the people of any reality to manifest it in the way they want. Your consciousness does determine, it's a very powerful factor to the weather. But again, you are dealing with weather wars and cosmic changes. So did you have anything else you wanted to say, Diane?
No, yes. They do, up in Tahoe's, also they, in December, is a very sacred month for them. And
these are the Pueblo Indians?
pardon?
These are the
Pueblo Indians.
in Taos.
Taos and the other Pueblos, they will close it off to the public and they will do their native winter corn dances that nobody is allowed. And let me tell you, there will be a group there at the entrance of the Pueblos, and these men will have their pickups and their guns. It's very, very serious. And it's just for the native people themselves, unless you are invited as a guest. But it's quite something that all of the Pueblos do this at this point in time of year. And it's always in December.
You know, we'll give you a comment on the native peoples, and thank you for that. You know, they are displaced people, of course. They were moved about 150 years ago or some such to reservations. And the reservations then were invaded by U.S. government forces, often because the reservation is not considered part of U.S. territory. It is considered to be a sovereign nation. This is up politically for some big stuff right now. There are those who want to stop the reservations and no longer have land given here. And there are big fights now over who has land rights, who has water rights, and it involves the native peoples. Now, the native peoples have been, in modern times, purposely given the alcohol, the casinos, things of this nature, all to distract them from their assigned work, which is, let's say, to guard certain places, to work with certain spirits, and to keep things in balance. In the southwest portion of the USA, there are big secrets that certain natives keep, and it is more than the corn dance. The dances they do bring in these spirits. And let's just say that if you've ever been to a rave, you would have spirits that would come into a dancing rave. If you have been to, let's say, the clogging of the Irish, yes, and they're dancing, there would be spirits that would come into it. So when there is movement, dancing movement, it was long, long known that was a way to bring energy, and other forces would be attracted to the dancing. If the dancing was done in certain patterns and chanting accompanied it, it built a portal of energy. And this is what the Pueblo Indians do in secret. They build a portal of energy, and it opens up across the lines of time. And they are, let's say, altered in this capacity. We'll move on from here. Who else has a question, please?
Taylor?
Who is it?
Taylor?
We cannot hear your name.
Taylor?
Taylor.
Taylor. All right. Welcome, and please ask your question.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, for those of us who identify with assisting Earth in her transition, how can
What does that mean, please?
How can we best hold...
No, go back up.
Those of us who identify coming from the multiverse and coming from elsewhere to assist Earth, and we're human, and we identify with coming from other places as well to assist in holding a certain frequency, in assisting in all levels of society. How can we best hold love and light? What would your comments be on that?
It's not the sort of question we answer,
Okay.
because it's so ambiguous. What does it mean to hold love and light? If you said to us, how could I fix my toe? It would be a little more specific. What does holding love and light mean?
Well, for me right now, it means a lot of what you're saying, which is to connect to the earth and to be out in nature, away from technology.
All right, so that you have all those answers. Is that correct?
Yes, I have those. I was wondering if you had any other ideas about how to hold one's vibration at a higher level, and also if you had any commentary about the Pleiadians working with other star nations.
No, we don't. But we'll say it's not that you have to work to hold your vibration at a higher level. If that is how you are perceiving it, then you are misconceived. There is no holding a vibration. You are a vibration. And you are who you are by your emotions, by your values, by your words, by your beliefs. And to hold a higher vibration, it is really a misnomer. You are a vibration. If you want to have a higher, quicker vibration, then that usually takes work. It takes a course of study. It takes a course of cleaning. And often when people want to say, I want to go to a higher level, whatever that means, that's usually a signal for the manure to hit the fan. Why? Because the stuff that you suppress, that you don't want to deal with, that you would cover over or ignore, your emotions, your sexuality, your values, your laziness, whatever, If you keep it all covered over, then you can convince yourself everything's okay. As soon as you say, I want to go higher, I want to have more clarity, I want to have a more powerful vibration, then that stuff is going to come up so that you can clear it out of the way, so that the flow of energy moves through you in a unimpeded manner. And where do the energies get stuck? They get stuck around your chakras. Your chakras are energy doorways, and you have issues around these various chakras. So say if you are constantly in worry about money, and yet you have a nice home, and you have cars, and you travel, and you take trips, but you are a worrywart, you are going to give yourself all kinds of back problems because you are dealing with the root chakra. The root chakra is at the very base of the spine, and when you do not feel that you are safe and that you can survive graciously, then problems arise. We have seen people, they're completely covered on the material level, but they still worry all the time. They have a worry of loss. Will I have enough? Is this going to be okay? And so it's managing how you think about the energies of the chakras then determines a lot of your vibration, and how you handle various situations that come at you. Do not think that a love and light answer is the way to deal with things. To us, love and light does not mean a lot. These are empty terms that humans throw around that do not really have distinct meaning to all people. They are sort of New Age catchphrases. So your second chakra would be all of your sexual issues. And this is where lots and lots of work has to be done, of understanding what this sexual energy is and the proper way to use it. Then the third chakra, the orange, willpower. How do you use your willpower? Do you steamroll the others, or do you let others steamroll you? Are you clear in how you extend that energy? Heart chakra. Are you overly generous, overly stingy? The throat, do you have to cough all the time and close it down, or are you clear? Are you a clear speaker? Are you a clear seer with the third eye? Do you use your imagination to uplift your own situation and even to uplift those that you don't like? And then the crown, that allows you to, let's say, feel that you are part of something more than just the physical body. And you go in and out of your body through the crown all the time when you sleep. So, Taylor, perhaps this understanding of where the energies can coalesce and join into the body will help you understand where you may have your own blocks and how to clear them. How to clear things, it's different for all people. Some people are full of shit. Are you shocked that we've said that? It means you need a colon cleanse. You've got so much waste material inside of you that you have not, your body has stopped eliminating. And we literally said that very graphically so that we would get your attention. You see, when issues come down in the world, you hold on to them, and they can clog all of your intestines and everything inside. And so when we said to you, how do you move the energy to get rid of the waste material is one. Colonics can be an absolutely wonderful way to keep yourself clear thinking and keep the body moving beautifully. Yoga, breathing practices, rebirthing, working with essential oils, having a bit of therapy here and there. These things all help you clear and become more peaceful. Clear and more peaceful. And when you are more peaceful, you're not so concerned what everyone else is doing. You're happy that you're peaceful. And you are growing and growing. This is probably the best way we can describe the process. And does that help you, Taylor?
Thank you.
You are very welcome. And we don't speak about other Pleiadians and who's working with who because it's entirely confusing. And we will say this. we come from a nebula called the Pleiades. And it's fading in the sky now. It's fading in the western sky because our Pleiades are in the sign of Taurus, and the sun is going to be moving close to the Pleiades very soon. So you cannot see us in the night sky much longer. There are lots of stars, and when there's lots of stars, there's lots of worlds, there's lots of different kinds of Pleiadians. And there's lots of beings who have nothing to do with the Pleiades. They are entities stuck in the lower astral, and when someone wants to channel who does not have very good boundaries or understanding, these lower astral entities come in and they say, hi, we're Jesus, we're the Pleiadians, we're whoever they want to be. And without discernment, people then get all confused and they don't know who they are receiving information from. So it's up to you people to figure out who is who. And you do that by using your physical body to feel the energies. Who else has a question?
I do. My name's Ashana.
Ashana, welcome. You have a good, strong voice.
Thank you. My question's about numerology. There's two different types. There's the modern one that takes you where they give the values of the alphabet 1 to 9.
Yes.
And then there's the old Chaldean one where they don't give any letter of the alphabet a number 9, because they said somehow that was like, that belonged to God. And so I'm wondering what system to use, or what would be real.
Use them both. And it's an interesting tidbit that you just brought forward, that from the Chaldean tradition, which also the Chaldean tradition, you know, Chaldea is from the ancient Sumer, Mesopotamia area, and of course it is reputed that the Chaldean also had the astrological configuration. The astrology goes back to Chaldean. But they did not use 9 because 9 belonged to God. Yes? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Question is, which Anunnaki god owned 9? And it was interesting, Diane, who spoke earlier, the first one, Diane recently said that the Chinese revere the number 9. It is their sacred number. So clues everywhere. How could it be that in one place so far removed they have same stories? It's because the Anunnakis are toying with you. Now let's look at numerology as a method. It is remarkable in that you have your name, the letters, and then someone who is very good can give you a pretty decent reading about what's happened, who you are, your personality, what life cycle you are in. Just as astrology, they say, when are you born? Even if they don't know the time, they can give you a rough sketch. How is all this possible? That's the bigger question. It's that reality is so rich with meaning, and that everything you do defines who you are. And yet the mystery is you are born thinking that you are insignificant and you know nothing. And you are stuck with the gender and a name and parents and all of this. It's all planned out. And some of it's very controlled, some of it's very recycled, very trapped, and some of it's very liberating, depending upon the evolution or the state of your consciousness, your smarts. Some of you want to raise your vibration, but you're not very smart. It's very true. It's not vibrating. It's how smart you are to figure out a rose from a bucket of manure. It sounds very basic, but people get very mixed up with it. Very. So, numerology. Both systems will work. You will get a little bit of a different twist to it. Actually, by incorporating all of the numbers, it will be more complete. Whenever something is withheld, such as you were saying, 9 being withheld, then it's sort of like, oh, go ahead and do it, but you're going to be missing the flour to bake the cake. Do you understand?
Yes, well, some of it, when you do the numbers, I mean, there are numbers that are very lucky and some numbers that are not lucky. So, and it's so funny because when you do it in both systems, they almost oppose each other. I mean, it's like...
They almost oppose each other?
Like, in one system, it's very lucky, and the other one is like the heaviest karma you could attract. Yeah, it took me a very long time to try and find the proper spelling, to make things work out.
All right, well, keep at it, because there are meanings in letters, names, numbers. All of this runs your world. And to some extent, people, the Anus at one time did not want anyone writing. It was forbidden, because it was understood that if you knew the art of numbers and letters, it was sort of in the area of Thoth and Hermes and all of this. The son Ningishzita actually plays that role. This is a son of Enki. And just as you need numbers and letters to make your computer programs and to make your systems work, to measure things, this is how a program has been set up on Earth. A system of weights and measures comes first to establish a society. And it's not just what is metric or what is a Western thing. There's magic in these numbers. And at one time it was understood that if you wrote it down, it would happen. It did not have to be true in your terms of understanding true. It was just a game of these Anunnakis of long ago. They knew that writing, putting it down, then made it real. Perhaps that will give you a bigger insight as to what all of their dictation to create a world. Who else has question, comment? Evie, welcome.
Thank you. You mentioned that this coming year we're going to have some hackings. And I wanted to ask about artificial intelligence and the supercomputers. How is this going to happen? Is it a computer, or is it a nation against nation?
You have nation against nation, but you have a lot of wild card people who just like to cause trouble. And in terms of artificial intelligence, you've had 3 major players on your planet. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, there's L again, L on, got it? Stephen Hawking. All 3 gave intense warning about the danger of what we call RT Intel. It's a little cuter, you understand? Artificial intelligence, RT Intel. And it's already here, and it's already caused a lot of problems. That's why these 3 insiders are warning that this is not a good thing. And there's people that have said they've been working with this, programming computers for decision-making processes, and then suddenly the computers or the robots went rogue. And they started making their own decisions. We've suggested to you years ago that the entry of the computers, the cell phones, all of this is the machine kingdom. And there are oodles of people who have incarnated onto Earth because the machines that they want are now here. We call these people machine riders, and this is not the people who rode the wheat threshers and the tractors. They were early machine riders. These new machine riders want machines inside of them. They want to be what people are calling transhumanistic, part machine and part human. This is a very possible future. This is where things are going to split big time. Very big time. So the threat from artificial intelligence is very real. There's been problems already, and there's not a lot you can do to back away from it. It's already rolling forward. This is part of the crisis. These things that will come to a head. As we've said, they are financial, they can be electronic, systemic failure from electronic hacking, systemic failure from solar things. Also, we are not talking blanket problems. We are talking areas that will be significantly affected because of what's going on in them. So if you are living in an area that may be doing secret work, or this work that is, people are participating in work that's leading to the destruction of humankind, those areas are going to be far more vulnerable to some sort of, let's say, rotting out from the center. And the events that happen there may come from the outside, but it is still the energy that they are vibrating that has to be taken down, so to speak. So Evie, yes, the best information we could say to you is that the continuity that you are all used to in terms of your systems, it's going to be more bumpy. And as the years go on, it's going to get really bumpy. By 2018, it's not going to look so good. And then in the early 20s of the 2020s, lots of the U.S. is not going to come out of this very well, as we can see it. Even though in the U.S. you have a lot of very good people fighting the corruption, and they are attempting to take down some big players one at a time. Know this, watch this. This summer, from May through the end of September, there will be appalling scandals, betrayals, and these are the good guys on the inside isolating the big troublemakers and doing a very good job of presenting their phoniness to the public. In general, these people have been Anunnaki puppets, and there are those who, from inside, who understand, want to expose this. It's looking pretty chaotic as the year unfolds. Anything else, Evie?
No. Thank you.
All right. Who has a question?
Jimmy,
Jimmy, over here, loud and clear.
what is the best way for those of us who are compelled to share the ideas of freedom in empowering people? How can we do that? How can we best do that? Because obviously mainstream media is extremely controlled, manipulated. We have the internet and things like that.
It won't be around too long. It's a very short window on this internet.
Oh,
It's a short window because it was first used by the military so that they could have a sort of secret way to convey data. But it was given, it's all ET technology, and the ETs are going to be, it's survey. They are going to be finished with you. They see that if they let you have the internet, they're going to have too many problems.
yeah, I think they're seeing that already.
They are. And this is why it takes a lot of money and a lot of people to sit there and to write disinformation to counter the info. You follow?
Yes.
And then the people who don't know what's going on, this leads to insanity, because after a while, if you are being told black is white, white is black, this is this, this is this, this is this, you get battle fatigue or PTSD from being stressed so much, and you shut down. And then you can be easily triggered to do crazy stuff you don't know what you are doing. It's all methodical behavior modification. It's an attack on humankind. So how you want to know how to help others?
How to best help others become empowered so that we can take back our sovereignty and get out of this slave system that we're in.
Well, there's millions of you working on taking back your own power. Know that. And there's oodles and oodles on the other sides helping you as well. The people who are struggling are going to get sick. You're going to see lots and lots of people just get sick because they can't go any further. And Jimmy, telepathy is very, very good. And we know as people, you get frustrated because you learn, you want others to wake up, and then they say ridiculous things to you, and they argue for their ignorance, and all you can do is let them be. You live by example, and you also can lay out a zinger here and there. When you are at the grocery store, or the checkout counter, or you are at the restaurant, or at the gym, or whatever, you just sort of casually say, you know, I've heard, you don't have to say it's coming from you, you say, I've heard some really weird stuff, you know, and you qualify it so that you're not the person of authority telling others, but that you're just passing the buzz, so to speak. You follow?
Yes, sir.
And then people are less inclined to be shut down. And today, this is going to be a big year because lots of stuff's going to happen, and this is what happens when big events occur. People wake up in droves. And it is so imperative that people wake up that the only solution will be for some major, major events to come down this year to shatter and shake people so that the next level, the next wave will come in question. Anything else, Jimmy?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Who has a question?
Dylan,
Dylan, yes, loud and clear.
you said that the internet is not going to be around for much longer.
No, it appears to have a short window.
Because I was building a website to bring sun gazers together, and just the other day, a couple days ago, it went white, and I wasn't able to release it to the public. And
Oh, someone's watching you.
oh yeah, I definitely feel that. I've felt that for a long time.
So you built a website to help sun gazers, and
To
then
bring-
you were going to launch it. Is that the right word?
Yes.
And then it went white. That means kapui, yes?
In general sense of the term, yes. Yes.
It was not a good feeling, yes?
Right.
So you're being given a warning. Stay away. Don't be Miss Big Fancy Pants. Or Mr. Big Fancy Pants. That's what the government's saying to you. You know, sometimes they'll leave you alone if you stay quiet, but you start launching things, then it could be connected to that. But above and beyond that, you can sit down now, Dylan. It does not look as if you are going to have your internet around for a really long time, or if it is, it's so vulnerable to hacking, and it's really starting to show the very, very, very dark side of humanity, and more people stop Googling themselves, and there's more trolls on there, and it's going to become an avenue for some real low-lifers. And even though they just passed some, what did they call it, net neutrality, it's an attempt to create different avenues to filter people in them. We see the whole thing going down eventually. When, you want to know, would that be? Probably by 2025, and the brownouts on the internet are going to grow greater starting this year. Some of it is hackers, some of it is, as Evie brought up, RT Intel making their own decisions. ETs can get into this system. It's totally vulnerable. It's totally vulnerable. It's an experiment in human consciousness. All right, who else? What are you thinking? Over here someone had a question.
Yvonne?
Who is it?
Yvonne?
Yvonne, you're going to have to speak much louder, please.
I have a question regarding near-death experiences.
Near-death experiences. Have you had one?
Yes.
So what do you want to know?
Well,
Who did you meet when you went over?
my ex.
And so did you mend things up, or were you looking for one another?
No, not at all. Actually, he wasn't really passed on. He just showed up before I went back into my body.
And do you think that was an important message?
No.
Sorry to disagree with you.
I just think that the near-death experience, that there are so many different experiences.
Yes, they're not a cookie cutter at all.
Right.
Because each person that dies is a different person.
Okay.
And so each person is going to meet their projections and their psyche, their expectations. And when you said you don't think it was important, you saw your ex, you have a near-death experience, everything in a near-death experience is going to be highly significant.
Okay.
Everything. And it's going to be different for each person. So you cannot say, well, I didn't hear bells and whistles and see all these angels flapping their wings and offering me caviar. So it must be I didn't have one. Well, that could be someone's near-death experience legitimately, but that's their projection and their fantasy. And here's the trick about dying. It's fuzzy over there. You take your consciousness with you, and there's all kinds of places that you can end up. The purpose of a near-death experience, and people have always had them, is to give you respect, to show you that there are other dimensions of reality, and that life goes on. That's the most important thing. Some people come back and they've sat on God's lap for a while, and God gave them these assignments and prophecies and all of this, and a lot of that is, some of it happens to some people sometime. Some of it is CIA hokum. It's experimentation to run tests on people, have them think these things happen to them. It's important to understand that nothing is exactly as it is told or as it appears to be. So what else there, Yvonne?
Well, that was my take on it, that it's not actually real. It's more like a recycling center where you're stripped of your memories and sent back to Earth.
It depends on how astute you are.
Okay.
If you're not very aware, or if you're real religious, you can really get recycled. That's part of it.
Okay.
But that people do not all get caught up in that. It depends how you think and what you believe.
Yes.
That's why beings of higher consciousness come back and help raise the vibration of others. Raising the vibration, we use that term just now, and that would be a definition of giving them a bigger panorama. Sometimes you think vibration has to go up. How about going out? Think if you have low vibration, you're looking through a peephole. All right? And then think of if you have a wide, bigger vibration, you can see all of Sedona from the air. All right? You just have a bigger panorama. That is what the expansion of consciousness is all about. So, and you have to learn how to die. You all have to learn how to die. You never thought about it that much, have you? But you'd best have some clear intentions about what you want to meet and experience once you give up this life. You will be guided, but still. Who has a question?
My name is Wendy.
Wendy, come to the front of the room, or much closer, or I'll get a megaphone because we can't hear you.
I would like to know if we
Good.
could ask you what your name is.
We go by the Pleiadians. We are not one individual.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Who has a question? Something good. Let's get into some material. We know that there's some brains sitting in here, and you're not saying anything.
I have a question about the significance.
Who is it?
Kenny.
Kenny. Welcome,
Yeah.
Kenny.
I have a question about the significance or purpose or probability of the use of plant medicine, spirit plant medicine, and its role of expanding consciousness.
When you're talking about spirit plant medicine, be more specific, please.
One that I think of is ayahuasca.
That just happened to come to mind, yes? They're teasing with you, but we want you to be more specific. Listen, there's always been spirit plant medicine, whether you are chewing the cactus, the what do you call that, mescalito? Peyote, yes. Or whether it's ayahuasca, or the mushrooms, or the frogs. There's all substances in the living library of Earth. This is why it is so valuable. It is actually a cosmic pharmacopoeia. We labeled Earth a living library early on because we said it is valued, it is treasured. There are things here within the forms that are very valuable. And then there are things hidden within the forms that you will never even find because you are not smart enough as people or aware enough to use that information. Nonetheless, spirit plant medicine can open people up. like a near-death experience, shows you there's more going on. These substances can alter your consciousness and put you into another realm. But you must ask yourself, these realms are governed and owned by people, sometimes, or spirit beings, we call them people, spirit beings. And then there is the quality of the person, just like the quality of the person's psyche when they die is going to determine their experience. The quality of your belief system, the clarity of your mind, is completely going to condition the kind of experience you will have when you use plant medicine. So if you are in conflict, if you are a person who's pretending to be one thing and is another, if you are suffering from pain and shame and guilt, these things can be therapeutic, but they can also be very, very, very disruptive to the psyche. You must be very careful when you are fooling around with such things. There's another reason. Back in the 60s, when the liberation of consciousness came around and people were altering their consciousness in a variety of ways, understand the CIA and all the government agencies were behind all the distributions. It was experimentation. Since then, you've had a lot of what we call, not necessarily, we'll use the term with quotes around it, demonization of the astral realms. Starting in the early part of the 20th century, people were doing rituals to invite dark forces in, and in great earnestness. This was being done around the rocketry science. It was being done with the Nazis. The Nazis were working with ETs. Things were being given to people on the world by dark forces who wanted back in on Earth, but the infrastructure that they needed wasn't here. So they gave data to various people who were following old traditions. You may call them dark cult ritual practices of blood sacrifice, and calling entities in saying, here, we'll sacrifice this dove to you if you will come. And they started getting results, and then it turned into more dramatic things. The data came forward. And then over time you got yourself in big trouble with wars and killings and all kinds of things, and then the big one was 9/11. 9/11 was a classic ritual working, an offering, we heard the beeper, an offering to the dark forces of other dimensions as an invitation to come onto Earth. So the problem today with people opening up to psychic realms, channeling, people opening up with plant medicine, as you call it, you have to be so clear, because there are so many dark forces that don't want humans to get out of this cage of ignorance, that they pretend that they are a being that will help you. And you know, if you are channeling and you open to this, you can stop channeling. They can still come in. But if you alter your consciousness and you get stuck getting in touch with one of those beings, you can lose your mind. It's, what we are saying, it's more dangerous today. Things used to be a little more innocent, and the astral was a little quieter. They're riled up there. And they're feeding off of humankind's innocence. We don't want you to give up your innocence. It is very important, the sweetness that humankind has, the heart, the trustworthiness. But that is also a sign of ignorance at times. So you must be very careful. What else do you want to know about this?
Well, I was just wondering what its purpose was, if there was something for...
What's the purpose?
For humanity, is there some way of using this tool to expand, human consciousness?
Of course, these all expand human consciousness because they take you out of the 3D world. And whether you get a kick in the pants or you have your heart chakra open, you recognize there's more than what meets the eye. That is one of the points. And many people have had profound healings through the use of the aid of plant medicine. And even of a non-psychedelic nature, the plants will work with you to heal. They will give you their oils, their herbs, and it is a worthy course of study to work with the plants, not just to alter your mind with ayahuasca, but to find the magic in how the plants feed you, how they nurture you. Who has a question?
Bonnie, please.
Bonnie. Bonnie with an O-N.
Okay, there have been reports of a lot of people hearing a lot of booms, clashing noises.
Booms,
in
yes.
the skies.
In the skies.
What is that all about?
That's the space
Curious.
war. That's the space war.
And can you say anything about CERN? Is there anything interesting going on there?
Yes, they are causing trouble. That's the best thing we can say. CERN is the home of the Large Hadron Particle Collider. And CERN is in Switzerland, and the people at CERN, I think they're very special, and they think they are doing one thing, but let's say this. You had a movie one time. It was called Build It and They Will Come. That's not the name of the movie, but Field of Greens. You see, we are pretty good. So that's the premise. Start out someplace, and they told the guy, build it. And so he builds this baseball field in the middle of nowhere, and they say, build it and they will come. The particle collider is, at one level, a modern depiction of an ancient artifact that is actually can open very, very, very large portals or stargates. And they've been opening and closing them, and the scientifics that work there are not in the loop, the higher loop of what's going on. And so many beings have had to shut it down. And there's a lot of secrecy around CERN because there's potential for great misuse. There's a potential to open a portal unwittingly, while these scientifics think they know what they're doing, and allowing armatas to come in. Some of them quasi-dimensional. Therefore, just like balls of light manifest in stelos and submarines, there have been a lot of interdimensional, what's the proper word there? We could call it harassment, but it is more intrigue. And then it confounds the people there, and then they have to start all over again. And so it's a mild sort of tricking and unplugging and breaking down, and it's all done to prevent these scientifics who they keep announcing, we're going to open a big one, and then something happens. It's those great balls of light again. Helping to keep things from all imploding. So there you have it.
Thank you.
So you can see from the war games, the CERN, and the booms in space, and the booms underground, you are engaged. Going around you is a big war. The war on the land in the Middle East, in the military bases, a lot of that is what you call dog and pony show. For the public, for a place to funnel funds that then disappear into black holes. And then a lot of mind control is done in training so that those men and women who do fight these space wars, they have mind washes. They can be highly trained. They are the tops and the best. A lot of times they come already from military families or a high-level globalist international bankers, bloodliners, breeders. They bequeath their children to the secret space programs because it is an honor. And then the booms and the fighting and the balls and the explosions under, around, the cover-up, etc. And then it's very difficult, if not impossible, to re-habituate, if that is the correct word, the fighters in these interdimensional wars. So then they are retired, often to Mars, to assignments on the moon. They are brainwashed, whitewashed, etc. And if there's no place for them and they start to break down and they are super warriors and then they start to get the system. Well, do you know that the homeless population is largely made up of military veterans?
Yeah.
So there you have it. Can't have these military veterans who fight the wars, the interdimensional space wars, going back and talking about it. This would not work. So you see, they are left with not much, and they can't figure too much out. They don't remember a lot. That's why they become homeless. It's very, 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 very dangerous to go into the military. It's not something really to encourage your children to do. However, if that's what their soul's mission is, you can't stop someone's soul's mission. You're not to interfere in why the soul came to earth to complete what it came for, even if it is foolishness. That's what the soul is here for. Some people do come here and they go through all the trouble of incarnating just to kick a ball around. But worse, millions come to watch people kick a ball around. So there you have it. Oh, it's so good that you can laugh. All right. So the time is clicking down, but you are getting some good stuff here, and you're putting it together. Who else has some revelations, recognitions, something?
Laurel?
Laurel, yes, loud and clear.
How does this tie into fracking with underground wars, water, things like that, tunnels? Any connection?
Somewhat, but it looks as if the fracking is really about an economic destabilization. The U.S. is now exporting oil. So it's not so much, the drill bits go down. Certainly, if they are aimed to tap into oil fields or, let's say, gas fields, all this drilling of fracking, the water that goes in, the toxicity, on some level, yes, it does disturb the stability of the underworlds. And there are all kinds of nuclear battles going on in the underworld. And henceforth, you end up with sinkholes. Lots of time, these sinkholes that appear out of nowhere with the perfect circles. How does that happen? You would think that it could be a little ragged or a little irregular, but some of them look as if they are perfectly laser cut. Particle beams from space, laser technology coming up inside the Earth, counter activity, fallout from wars. It's all occurring. It's all a big deal. Yes. All tied together. And so the fracking is creating problems. And in some places, the fracking is a cover for machinery and people to move in and corporations to be there to frack, while something else is going on that a few are performing to get down into the grounds. It's a lot of covert stuff. And then the people who do this covert stuff, who are the workers of those who give the orders, they feel very important. And then they are thrown away. Or their brains are washed out, and they come home, and they're a mess, and they have PTSD, and then violence happens in the family, and it's all unraveling, friends. It's all, as Cindy saw, shattering. But gracefully. Gracefully. Enough so that you can position yourself. Then we'll give you an advice. Listen to your inner guidance. Check your feeling center. If you are getting a message, a premonition, an insight, a speaking, and acknowledge it and say, all right, I hear you, but I may not do it. You have that freedom. And if it's really, really important, then give me another sign. And so, if you're uncertain, ask for a sign, ask for clarity. But you all may find your lives changing very quickly this year. Maybe not all of you, but there will be some suddenness to things. Trust it. Trust it. Who else?
Nancy?
Who is it?
Nancy?
Nancy from the An clan, yes.
Of course, yes, thank you. What happened to the Malaysia airplane that disappeared?
Oh, everyone wants that mystery solved. It looks like it was taken down. We do not see that it ran out of gas and went into the ocean. It was absconded. It was taken by automatic pilot is how we see it. And it was taken out of commission, not crashed, but it looks as if it was after people who were on the plane, and there's other shenanigans going on. In the larger scheme of things, there are many more pressing things to understand than the, let's say, alleged disappearance of the plane. And you can tell it was something big because they ran it and they worried you down and wore you down and created all manner of distractions and took you all over the world looking for this ridiculous plane and spending millions and millions of dollars. That's all a cover-up because it took a lot of people by surprise. They didn't like it. And the U.S. is deeply involved. And there were people on board who were making big discoveries and owned patents about new ways of treating water. And when you see water, it goes back to Ea, it goes back to those Naki brothers, Enlil and Enki. The Nakis. The Nukis. Oh, they can be called the Nukis, yes. It's fun, yes. Who else has a question?
It's Chet.
Chet, yes, we're waiting for you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. You mentioned the Nukis, and that brings up my kind of question. And we've been entertained, I'll put it that way, by the scenario of Netanyahu and Obama and all of that going on. And what do you feel are the best possibilities for humanity with this Iran, United States? Will they have a nuclear weapon? Do they already have one? I think they do.
Does who have one?
Play itself out this year.
Does Iran have a nuclear weapon?
I think they do. Actually.
Yes, they do. Of course they do, because they are working on getting one to Syria, because this is Russia.
Uh-huh.
Now, the Anunnaki love military might. They love it. And so they are behind the build-up in the East and the West of military power. And the U.S. was made, quote, a superpower. And then you were countered by Russia, a superpower, yes? These are the Anunnakis. Then China, with the Anus, comes in, another. And then there's more. And Pakistan, another Anu connection. Now, is it likely that this year they are going to set a nuke off? Let's talk about it. We talked about St. John the Divine, or our vehicle did, and the what is it called there? Revelations. Yes, the Gospel of Revelations or some such. Book of Revelations. And it is the Anunnaki dictating to John some of the prophecies that will be fulfilled to signal that they are returning, or that they will be here for reign change, passing the scepter and crown to a different Anunnaki. So, in this capacity, you had, we were discussing perhaps at one time, the 7 trumpets against 7. And many of them have been fulfilled. The 6th trumpet has not been fulfilled. It would be the 6th and the 7th. We are not sure what the 7th calls for, but the 6th calls for a major war along the Euphrates.
In Ukraine?
No, the Euphrates.
Oh, Euphrates.
So that when a major war occurs along the Euphrates,
okay,
and that could be Iran, it could be, even though it's not on the Euphrates, it's focused to that area. That would be the fulfillment of the 6th trumpet. And then the 7th would be the coming of the Lord.
Okay. Euphrates goes through Syria.
Yes. And the Euphrates goes, yes. And so when that occurs, this is what these lots of people are working this one now. Even Netanyahu knows this. The ISIS people know this. And they feel they are here to meet the Lord. And some of them know that the Lord is much different than the rest of the people think this is going to be. This is serious stuff. This is serious prophecy, and there are people that are dreaming of fulfilling this year. So yes, there is a high probability of a nuclear war breaking out to fulfill the sixth trumpet. This is why Obama is completely against Netanyahu, because Netanyahu owns and is managing Enlil's portal. And Obama is a puppet of other forces, and it's a lot of tricksters. And even Obama doesn't know the larger picture. Putin, the Queen, Netanyahu, they all think that they are informed, and they all have had contact of sorts with representatives of the Anu, powerful entities that you cannot doubt that they are who they say they are, simply by shining, by transmitting, by getting in your head and carrying on telepathy as if they are next to you. This is very shattering to these world leaders, and these they are being set up against each other. So there's lots of tricks within tricks and plans within plans, and there's good guys against not so good guys. And we will say world leaders are being used by not good guys, and they are still totally out of the loop. They are way more informed than you are, but they are really clueless as to how they are being used. What else, Chet?
Well, your vehicle answered the question that I was going to ask about what do we personally need to do, and I think it's still the best answer I've ever heard, and that is to set your own moral compass at the highest possible level that you know and stick to it, and no matter what is coming on down around you, and that will keep you with your clear guidance.
Yes, what did you tell everyone earlier that you said a bit?
It's an old adage that no one can con a totally honest person, man or woman.
No one can con a totally honest person.
Yes.
And so that makes you incorruptible. And to some extent, dear friends, this is the projection that you put on the gods. That they were incorruptible, that they were holy, that they died for you, that they would do anything for you, that if you are good, they will welcome you into their heavens. This is a crock of you-know-what. And so you are seeing through it. But all of you have been believers at one time. Largely, even if you came in questioning it, for part of it you wanted to check it out to see if the belief system worked. This is all what's coming down, and it's going to create confusion. Stay honest, stay clear, stay grounded, because as you become more psychic, you stay connected to the earth. Learn how to cook food, and learn how to make beauty. And if you are confused, go out and pick some flowers, pick some leaves, bring some of nature inside, make a wreath. Make an arrangement. Put something together and then find peace with that. These simple acts are very restorative. And again, our vehicle showed you rocking and spinning. And if your brain gets all out of whack, tapping your like this, or taking your hand, going back and forth 5-10 minutes, spinning, cross-tapping, all of this will bring restoration and bring you back to the moment. And you had best learn, people, how to quickly move out of shock and come back into functionality. Remember, shock is a form of trauma. And trauma has advantages. Trauma can activate psychic abilities very quickly, very fast, big ones. Trauma also can induce amnesia, where you can't remember what happened. So pick your sides wisely and learn how, when you hear news on the planetary level, process it and then immediately do things to bring you into balance. The aromatherapies will help bring you back to the moment. You will have to find ways, friends, to safely deal with the information that you will be processing about things that will be revealed and happening on Earth this year, next, and many years following. Anything else, Chet?
Well, I was going to add sound. I think that balance is
Sound, absolutely.
extremely important.
Kalisa and her bowls, the gong, the bells, chimes, wind chimes. Sound is very balancing to both hemispheres of the brain. And it's non-logical, so it can bring, let's say, a type of integration. Very, very, very important.
And not to give in to fear.
And not to give in to fear. Because it's all right to feel frightened, because then you know something big is happening. But then you can't dwell there, and you can't live with it, and fear makes an uncomfortable cape. Fear is a motivator to say do something, and if you don't know what to do, drop an anchor, drop your grounding cord, and aura up. All right? That helps. Who else has a question, comment?
Nancy?
Another Anu clan. All right. Isn't this fun to see how many of you have AN in your names? All right. Go for it.
I'm really intrigued, I guess excited about Anki's gift, and I'd like to know maybe how we can enhance it even more.
How you can enhance it even more. Everything we in our vehicle have been encouraging you to do, to be quiet now and again, get rid of all that visual stimulation, if you have it once in a while, outside, working with all the things you have, and a little more peaceful, quiet time to hear, to think. After this weekend, you will have much to process. Then many of you, as usual, will order the CDs. You will get them 6 weeks from now, and then some of you will put them away, and some of you will listen to them right away, and you will say, I don't remember them saying that. I don't remember talking about that. Wow. Because you've taken a lot in. And the body needs to process it, because you have gone to another level. That is our intention. You are all going to be much more savvy, much more psychic. You can, Nancy, put things to practice, and then if there is a course of study that excites you, do it. And all of you need to use the body in some capacity, the spine. The ancient techniques of Qigong and yoga and Tai Chi, they are all about managing energy. And you're going to have to go from theory and mind into practice and anchor more energy in the body. Make room that your bodies are going to change. They right now are being fine-tuned. You are worked with. If you are advised to go for a walk, go for a walk. Be a little more active and be a little more peaceful in nature. This way, Enki's gift will start to open. Enki loves nature. Enlil, he is more removed. Does not care so much for nature. He is into worship, being worshipped. His ego is involved in being the commander. Enki is involved in enlightening humankind so that you then are more fun. Meaning that you become contemporaries and that a brand new reality unfolds. Remember our first book, Bringers of the Dawn? There's a little An in there. And it is those who start to see the light of the truth. Years ago, people said, wow, this is so great, this is so great. But now you start to see what the truths are that have to be recognized. And they are all around you. Just as you see AN all around you, you will start to see many things. Just know. That is our greatest advice to you this year. Just know and find some friends that you can share these ideas with, and keep it low on the typing on email. You don't want to put your big revelations on the computers. You follow this? Write a letter. Phone calls, well, you're still monitored, but you're going to all go back to, once you realize how surveilled you are, you're all going to start saving your most important discussions for in person. This is the reversal, because people are going to see that what has happened is not helping them at all. And we hear the beeper, thank you. So we have 5-6 minutes left. Debbie, yes.
Debbie.
Oh, Debbie.
How important is laughter?
How important is laughter? Absolutely, it is essential to your spiritual advancement, because if you can laugh at yourself and your conundrums and what you thought things were, it keeps you from getting stuck and getting angry. The antithesis of laughter is the inability to laugh at the situation and to find a purpose in the humor of it, is to feel victimized and angry, and then one gets into, I have to have revenge, I'll show them. And this is an endless, endless loop of going nowhere. But people get off on it because there's juice in being angry. But laughter, oh, laughter is sweet juice. Especially if there's laughter and you're not directly hurting anyone. And you are having a sort of a cosmic laugh at the irony of things. Laughter relaxes your chakras. It actually is healing in the body. You've had people on the planet who have been given the diagnosis of cancer, and they look at funny movies and they laugh themselves into healing. Cancer comes from anger. It comes from pollutants, it comes from toxins, but all the poisonous things on the planet can't land really in you unless you create emotional trauma to house it. And cancer is a seat of anger. It's a seat of, I've been wronged, I've been traumatized, I've been betrayed, I've been screwed, I've been whatever. And it all happens on that potato, deep feeling level that sometimes the pea won't even know how severe they feel because it's buried. But the body knows. If there's anyone or anything that knows you, it's the cells in your body. You can trick the pea. You can trick your own spiritual self that lives in your body. But you cannot trick your body. It knows how you feel even when you don't. So laughter is a sign of an elevated spirit. Laughter heals the body. And laughter helps the chakras be open to take healthy energy inside. It is advisable. So learn some good tales.
Attila?
Attila, yes, welcome.
What if some of us who live in nature all the time and we get bored and we don't have much stimulation?
Then take a visit to
Then
take a visit to the city. You have to find the balance, Attila. That's the answer. And if you are bored, that's sometimes a good sign, because it means that you are ready to make change. As we read your vibration, you've been too long in the same place. You are Parker. You think you want comfort, you want security, but you are bored because there's not enough feeding your soul where you live, where you are employed and what you're doing. And you are employed around vibrations that are not the highest. It's the place where you are is a lot of chicanery in terms of higher consciousness. That's personal for you. So make a change and get out. How's that?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, folks. We are now concluding. You learned some big things. You shared some even bigger things. You opened your hearts. We did a lot of green, 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 and you shared your hearts. And there are many people who will listen to these CDs. And they will not care so much who you are, but they will admire your courage that you spoke up, that you threw your voice across the room, that you shared your insight, your story, your cleverness, your weakness, your questions, and your wonderings. And for this, we admire you. And for this, we salute you, because you help us with our work. It is not our intention nor our vehicles to go around to speak to all the people on the planet. So we adapt a method in cooperation where many can learn. And learn you have. Remember, this year, the acceleration is going to be very fast. You are going to psychic up out of necessity. This will be a wow, 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 wow year for events. And that's not barking like a dog. That's wow with an exclamation point after it for each one. A wow, that is pretty amazing. Wow, that's really amazing. And we have deep affection for you because you have laughed at our ridiculous jokes. And this gives us great compassion for you, and we lean your way if you need help, because you get what we are doing. You think you get what we are doing. We are still figuring out sometimes what we are doing. But we have a plan. You have a plan. And it is to create, let's say, avenues of consciousness where you are comfortable, where you are safe, where you do acts of goodness, and where the panorama entices you, and it opens in all directions, and the colors and the vistas, the possibilities are endless. This is the pristine, probable world that we mentioned years ago. It is a dream. For some it is a fiction, but it is an imagining. And all imaginings are conjurings. And all imaginings begin somewhere. And then they are anchored and brought into reality. So we say to you, remember the power of your dreaming. And do good work. And in the meantime, be practical. And do the things that enhance living on earth and making it worthwhile. It has been our great pleasure. And this will be a very special year. You will elevate yourselves in grand avenues. And this is good. Pleasant journeys, create the best. Good evening.
Thank you.
We are just staying for the claps. Maybe next year you will reward us at the end with a sip of champagne. All right, create the best, dear friends. Good evening.